that you realize you have a purpose, right? I mean, it's not suffering anymore when I know that there's a purpose, right? I'm not a big like suffering theology person. I'm like, it seems to be suffering when you no longer feel.
Some people seem to wallow in suffering as though they don't expect to really ever get out. They want to be ministered to, they want to be comforted in the suffering, as opposed to one day doing what you said, coming to realize that they're suffering. So what's the purpose, and let's move on. Now, I'm not diminishing suffering. There may be people listening now who are in the midst of suffering, but what do you say to them? Because it sounds to me like ultimately we're not supposed to stay in that place. Suffering's real, and God is the God of all comfort. You know, He comforts us in what we're facing, but I don't think that's a forever kind of thing in His economy.
Yeah, oh no. I think most people have not been given a good option for healing. I think that's at the end of the day, you know, we're preaching at the left side of the brain, you know, not for life. That's how I've been preached at. And I've never interacted with Jesus in the right side of my brain. I read the book, The Other Half of Church, which is basically why are we not interacting with the right brain and letting people interact with Jesus, an unseen God? You have a divine imagination to interact with Jesus, to let Him feel things in your heart. But most pastors, most churches are not creating experiences to encounter Jesus. They're getting messages and talking at you, but they're not inviting you into allowing Jesus to take things that you were never meant to hold. And the only way that we can do that is through our right brain and through our divine imagination. And so I met people who showed me a better way, and I didn't know that was a way, right? And so I think at the end of the day, if you've never been invited to encounter Jesus, everything changes after encounter. It leads to intimacy, and it leads to revelation, and that's just one big circle: encounter, intimacy, revelation. And those three things, if you haven't experienced one of those three things, it's probably because you don't know how to interact with Jesus. You know, just closing your eyes and saying, you know, experiencing a joy-filled memory, and then saying, Jesus, where are you? Can you see Him? And when He encounters you in that place, everything has to change. One touch of the road, right? I mean, one touch. And that's what someone offered to me, and it changed everything.
I think that the vast majority of people right now, like we use the example of raising hands, how many in the congregation will say that we fully get something. I think that we're honest with the fact that you're talking about something we're all not very familiar with. So what do you mean? Yeah. What does it look like when you say encountering Jesus on the right half of the brain?
Right. Well, I love Jim Wilder, and so he one of his key works is called The Joyful Journey. And so what happens in trauma, and we've all experienced little T's, big T trauma, all the things. What happens in trauma is your joy circuit, your ability to experience joy in your brain has been like a wet blanket been poured on it. And so what we do with the witness, and this is why our ministry, I really believe, has been so fruitful, is because we help wake up those circuits by experiencing a joy-filled memory. And so you're basically closing your eyes and you're saying, you know, what is it, a joyful memory?